Welcome back to another episode of the His and Her Money Show with America's #1 money couple. I'm Talent.
And I'm Ty, and we're from hisandhermoney.com, where we're managing money, marriage, and everything in between.
We're so glad to have you guys back here for another great edition of the show because we have another fantastic debt-free story to share with you all today. We're going to be talking with a gentleman by the name of Kevin, who was able to pay off, are you ready? $87,000 of debt,
Amazing.
Mostly student loans. And he used some very unique ways to become debt-free.
You know what? We teach you guys here on the His and Her Money Show to get a few side hustles to get out of debt a whole lot sooner. And that's exactly what he did. He has something interesting. One of the side hustles that he did was he would do pet sitting. Oh my gosh, pet sitting. And believe it or not, he made some good money doing so. So you guys definitely want to check out his story on just how he was able to knock out all of this debt.
Hey, Kevin, welcome to the His and Her Money Show.
Hello, Kevin.
Hi.
We are glad to have you on the show today. You took an incredible journey to debt freedom, and we know our audience is going to be all ears to hear exactly how you did it because so many people have the desire to become debt free, and so many people are in the fight right now on their way to becoming debt free. But before we get into the details of exactly how you were able to do it, can you just take a moment and introduce yourself to the audience and let them know what you're all about?
Sure, yeah. My name's Kevin. I'm from Minneapolis. I'm a lawyer by day, side hustler and blogger by night. My fiance, I'm engaged. My fiance is in residency for dental, and then we live in near the U of M with our dog.
Awesome.
Well, let's talk about your debt. Tell our audience a little bit about the debt that you had, how much debt it was, and what did it consist of?
Sure, yeah. So I had $87,000 of student loan debt for law school. That was actually one of the cheaper law schools I went to, actually. It could have been more. That was 3 years of law school, $87,000 when I came out. About 6 to 8% interest rate on it.
Wow. And then how long did it take for you to get rid of it?
And it took me 2.5 years to get rid of it.
What?
87,000 in 2.5 years? That's crazy sauce, Kevin.
Yep.
Awesome.
So let's dig into it. For you, what was it? You went to law school. Now, most people that come out of law school, they have pretty good sizable student loans. Like you said, you went to one of the lower cost schools to get your law degree. So it's not abnormal. It's not out of the norm for a brand new lawyer to have student loans. So for you, what was it that caused you to say that I know this is typical, this is average, but I don't want to be typical. I don't want to be average. I don't want these student loans. What made you go after and attack your student loans in the first place?
Yeah, well, one of the things is I didn't want to feel trapped, feeling that I had to earn the paycheck in order to pay the student loans. So when I went into law school, that was, when I came out, that was my plan right off the bat was, I want to get this debt gone as soon as possible so that, in the future, I'll have the options to do what I want to do and not have to work at certain job making a certain amount of money so that I could pay, my debt that I earned, that I took out from previously.
Now, was that part of your strategy? You mentioned the fact that this was a lower cost law school. So was that part of your strategy, knowing that you could have went to a different school, but that would have also caused you to have higher student loans? So that factor into your final decision as to what school that you ultimately decided to attend?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the factors in it. It was a variety of things, location and, kind of where I wanted to be. But yeah, when I looked at it, I knew I took a calculated risk. I knew that this was going to be quite a bit of debt here. And I kind of, made the choice, thinking that, well, maybe I can pay it off if I'm earning a certain amount of money if I go to this school.
Awesome. So let's talk about the mindset that you had to put yourself in once you said, you know what, I'm going to knock out this debt. And so let me just get prepared.
Yeah, well, so a lot of young lawyers, when you start out, you get that first paycheck and it's more money than, you've ever seen before. If you're working at a big firm, which is what I started out at. And, I was 26 years old, 27 years old when I started. And, I see all the other people around me, and first thing they're doing is they're getting the fancy apartment in the fancy neighborhood and, going out to eat at nice restaurants. And, they're living like they're making the money that they're making, And the thing is, the debt, the law school debt, it's so normalized. It's completely normal to have this debt. And so you just pay the bill. If you're making that money, you're okay. You'll be able to pay it forever. And, so I had to kind of go in there, and my mindset was, well, I'm not going to act like I'm making this amount of money. I'm going to act like I'm making much less than that. And everything else that I'm making after it is going to just go to the debt. It's like a bonus, basically. And that's how I kind of approached it, and it was hard. I kind of had to, I couldn't be as fancy as everyone else is, couldn't get as fancy the suits or the fancy apartment or the fancy car, but that's just kind of the way I thought about it so that I could, in a few years be free of it.
Now, you were making some pretty significant sacrifices there, at least from a social aspect. You're a lawyer, you're amongst other young lawyers, you're at a great law firm. I mean, there had to be pressure. There had to be points where people were asking you, like, why are you living like this? Why are you pretending as though, like you just said, I don't make this money. I make this amount, so I'm only going to spend this amount. Like, what was that like to have your colleagues or even friends kind of question what you were doing?
Well, I just didn't have any shame, and I can just swallow my pride and just, accept it. And, I still, I would still, hang out with people and, these kind of things. I'm just not living the same level as them. It's just how I'm thinking about it. And, I'm just kind of thinking about it, for myself. This is what I'm going to do for myself. And, I don't need to keep up with everyone else.
That's true. That's true. Now, I love the approach that you took, whereas you came up with a certain dollar amount that you said, this is what I'm going to live off of. And then anything extra and above, I'm going to just throw at this debt. I love that because we definitely teach that anytime people get raises or bonuses and things like that, almost pretend as if you never even got it and just throw it towards debt or build wealth of some sort with it. So were there any other strategies that you put in place while doing this? Just living off of less money. Were there any other tips or any other strategies that you put into place in order to knock off this debt a lot sooner?
Yeah, well, one of the strategies I have is, it's the automating it and just taking it right off the top. If it's taken off the top, I don't see it anymore. And once it's gone, it's gone. I can't touch it. I don't even notice it. So that's kind of, how I did it. Paycheck comes in, whatever needs to go to student loans, it's gone. Whatever needs to go to savings is gone. Whatever needs to go to this is gone. And I just don't see it.
So did you auto generate additional payments as well, or just your standard payment?
So basically I did auto generate. I would auto pay the minimum payment to get the loan interest rate deduction. And then immediately, first of the month, I'm doing it myself because you can't auto. I didn't want to auto all of it just in case, you never know. So in terms of that, I just did on my own. But what I'm autoing is my savings for other things, so I have things coming out of my bank account, going to different budget items, and it's just going to different bank accounts without me being able to even notice it. It just gets pulled out automatically there.
I think you bring up a good point that I would love for you to expound a little bit on the fact that you automated even certain items that you had to budget for. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan, and I know you two also have talked about this, of having the multiple bank accounts. I've got a lot of different savings accounts that are kind of budget in advance for different things that I might need, and so, if I need something and I'm saving for it over time, it doesn't seem quite as much as, if it pops up and you suddenly have to pay that. So I was just pulling out little bits, each time, going to different things, things for food, things for, if I needed clothes, and it's just going there, things for my stupid mistakes fund, in case I get a parking ticket or something, I'm putting away a little bit for that just in case.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
I love that.
Now, earlier you mentioned that you were a side hustler. So what are some of the side hustles that you took up, and how did that factor into your debt-free journey?
Yeah, well, I'm really big on there's so many new apps now that let you, kind of work whenever you want. And so I just kind of did all these apps. So, one of the things I started doing last year is, I own a dog already. So there's a website where you can just watch, where you can dog sit other people's dogs when they go out of town. So I just it's kind of like think of it like an Airbnb for dogs, basically. And so I put my profile up there, and people go out of town. They ask me to watch their dog, and it's not really any different when you're watching a second dog, when you're already watching one dog already. I already have my own dog. I have to go on walks. I gotta feed my dog, and so having a second dog in my house isn't any different.
That's pretty cool. Do you remember the name of that app?
Yeah. There's two of them. There's one called Dog Vacay, and then another one called Rover. And so, I put myself on both of them, and people message me, ask me to watch their dog. I go and meet their dog. They'll be gone for a week, 2 weeks or something, and I just have a second dog in my house. And, my dog likes other dogs, and as long as their dog is friendly, it's not any problem for me.
I love that.
Great.
We'll be sure to have links in the show notes of this episode so that you guys can check out those two websites, and maybe there is a chance that you guys can start generating some money as well from that. So what are some of the other side hustles that you took up?
Yeah, well, another one. This one I actually learned from my brother. It's I started doing some bike delivery services, and my rationale for that, I'll just kind of do this in my free time. Is I got to get some exercise, right? And I like to bike, so I would just go, and sometimes I turn on one of these apps. If there's a delivery going, if there's a delivery there, I'll just hop on my bike, make a delivery. I'll do it for an hour or two and get myself some exercise while I'm making some deliveries.
That's great. So there's an app for that as well too. Do you have to use your bike, or can someone use their vehicle, or is it specifically for bikes?
So you can use a car too. I didn't want to use a car because then it's really more like work for me then. So
I like that. Okay. Do you recall the name of that app?
yep, there's one called Postmates. That's kind of the big one. And then there's another one called Caviar, and then another one called DoorDash.
This is like a Uber service for deliveries.
Yeah.
Wow.
You pop up your phone, you want to get something from some restaurant, and it just pings your phone, and you just go there and pick it up. And so I just go and bike it and make the delivery and make a couple bucks and get some exercise.
This is so good. Like
Yeah.
I haven't even heard of any of these apps. It just goes to show you there's so many different ways that you can generate extra income to get out of debt, to build up your savings, to build wealth. Like if you really take the time to do the research like Kevin did, you can find great opportunities out there just about anywhere doing anything.
Exactly. And the thing about these two is, it takes you a little bit of time to get yourself set up, and that's it. It doesn't cost you any money to do it. So if it's not for you, just don't do it after, you try it out once and don't do it.
Wow.
I love that. I love
Wow.
that. So were there any obstacles or challenges that you had to overcome during this debt payoff journey of yours?
It's probably the same type of obstacles that everyone else faces. The wanting to buy the latest gadgets, wanting to buy the fancy clothes, wanting to live in the fancy apartment. And kind of, you got to actively avoid that stuff if you want to, make it, if you want to achieve what you're trying to achieve.
So talk to us about in those moments of temptation where you were tempted to get that new car, get that fancy apartment, in those moments where you're like, maybe, but then you talked yourself back on track. How were you able to overcome temptation in those moments?
Yeah, well, it's my fiance kept me on track on those. I remember, my second year I got a raise, and I thought, well, hey, our lease is coming up. Why don't we live in this fancy apartment here? We can do it, and she put the brakes on it and said, I don't think so.
Yeah, it sounds like to me something that we tell our audience and our listeners all of the time. Get yourself an accountability partner, somebody that's not going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? But somebody that's going to really tell you the truth when you need to hear it because they know your goal. So I think that's important that your fiance was aware of your goal and she made sure that she did her part to not distract you.
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly right. We were on the same page, you know. And at the time, you know, she wasn't my fiance at the time. She was my girlfriend at the time, and we're still on the same page.
That's right. Right. Absolutely. I love that. So talk us through that moment when you paid off your last debt payment.
You know, it was actually pretty good. So I was not feeling so great in my job. You know, the work wasn't really what I was all about, and it was really stressful and caused me some anxiety. And so towards the end there, I had started just kind of saving the extra money in a savings account just in case something happened. And so I had this big stockpile. And then I found a new job. And so I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to start my new job fresh. So I took everything out of that pay because I had the exact amount in the savings account to pay for it because I'd earmarked it for that. And so I just took the whole thing, you know, something like $12,000 or something was what I had left. And I just clicked, boom, I clicked it. This was in June of this year, June 2016. And that was it.
Wow. Amazing.
Right. Well, congrats to you. I mean, that's
But that had to be so satisfying knowing all the sacrifices that you have been making for a couple of years, you know, not getting that fancy apartment, those fancy cars, living the lifestyle of your colleagues, to be able to hit that button and for it to say, you know, eventually you get the notice saying your balance is zero.
Right. And you know, the big thing too was that, you know, I took the new job I took a big pay cut when I took this job. So I went from private practice to government. So, you know, a big pay cut comes along with it. And the thing is, because I'd been living on so much less, now I start my new job and I'm still able to save exactly the same amount of money I was saving before, despite making much less money than I was making at my previous job.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the debt anymore as
Yeah.
well, too. So, yeah, so that's awesome.
So talk to us. I mean, it's been a little bit over a month now, almost 2.
You want to go buy that fancy car, upgrade the house, or what?
No, not really. I'm just kind of living the same way we've been living before. You know, I save the percentages I want to save. It comes right off the top there. And, you know, I just, you know, and try to plan out what I'm going to do with my money and try to be smart with it.
Can you breathe a little more now that those student loans are gone?
Yes. You know, I have a lot of colleagues of mine who are still at the big firm and they're stuck. They can't, you know, they've been there for now 3 years and they haven't done anything on their student loans and they have to keep earning that because, you know, they can't take the pay cut to go to, you know, a job they might want more or anything like that.
Awesome. So on this whole journey from $87,000 of debt to debt free, what has been the biggest life lesson that you have taken away from this journey?
I think definitely just planning, you know, planning what you want, you know, you got to visualize it. And, you know, when you start out, it doesn't look like you're doing any progress, you know, because you go from 87,000 to 85,000 to 83,000. It looks the same as it was in the beginning. But, you know, you just kind of give it time and, you know, if you know what you're trying to do and you set yourself some goals, you'll see, you know, you'll get to it sooner than you think.
So it's all about being organized and sticking to it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. So do you have any book recommendations that you can offer our listeners? We love to read here and we always tell people, you know, knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. And so we love to hear anytime someone comes on the show, what are some of your favorite book recommendations that you can recommend for the people listening?
Yeah, well, you know, of course, in terms of paying off debt, Total Money Makeover is the way to go. Dave Ramsey. No one knows how to pay off debt better than he does. The other books I really like were David Bach's Automatic Millionaire. That was one of I remember picking that book up when I was in high school maybe, and I didn't understand what it was about, except I understood that you needed to automate what you're doing. Another book that I really like is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. He's also very big on automation, and you automate your whole system there and it'll work out. So those are kind of the three big ones. Oh, another book I like is Random Walk Down Wall Street by Burt Mankiel. That one is great for teaching how to invest and understanding not to get too scared when the markets are going up and down. And
so, Kevin, if there's somebody tuned into the show right now who love to hear your story, the fact that you got out of debt, they're like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But then they're not so sure if they can do it, if their situation is able to go from being in debt to debt free. What words of encouragement can you offer to that person right now?
I would say that anyone can do it. There's if you're organized, if you've got a plan, if you've got a goal, you can get to where you want to be. And I think in terms of paying off debt, there's lots of ways out there to make a little bit more money if you need to. And, you make a little bit on the side there, throw it all at the debt, and it will go down a lot faster than you think.
Awesome. So, Kevin, tell everybody about your blog and how they can stay connected with you.
Yeah, I'm a new blogger. I've got a blog, financialpanther.co. It's where I blog about, personal finance, investing, my own stories, side hustling, and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. We'll be sure to have a link to Kevin's site in the show notes. All you have to do is head to hisandhermoney.com at the conclusion of this show to see all the links for everything that Kevin mentioned in today's episode. Kevin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your incredible journey to debt freedom. $87,000 of debt destroyed. You are a certified debt destroyer. So thanks for coming on the show today, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
Wow, what an amazing story. It just goes to show you there's so many different ways.
Yeah.
Like if you just take a moment and just think, like, what can I do?
Yeah.
If you do a Google search, side hustle income, like there's so many opportunities out there because listen, you're not going to just get there doing the same things you've been doing. Mm-hmm. Like you're going to have to do a couple things. You're going to have to reduce your expenses and you're going to have to raise your level of income. And Kevin did that by pet sitting and delivering food. I mean, he was willing to do whatever it takes because he had a goal in mind. He said, you know what? I don't want this debt. I want to be able to make the type of decisions that I want to make. I want to be able to work for any law firm that I want to work for. I don't want to have to pick the law firm that has the highest paying salary just so I can pay off these student loans. What happens when you become debt free? You become able to have a bunch of options at your disposal.
That's right. If you guys enjoyed this story, definitely give this video a thumbs up and share this. Share this with your family and friends. Share it on your Facebook. Share it on your social media. There are other people that are in debt and they want to become free and just don't know how. We also have a free resource for you called 8 Essential Steps to Getting Out of Debt. You can grab your free copy at hisandhermoney.com/8 steps. That's the number 8.
Well, guys, that's it for this time. It's been great. Till next time. Peace.
Bye.